welcome back to Teacher Time with Kelsie. It is Monday, which means that we are starting a new week together here. I have a lot of cool things to share with you, so I'm pretty excited about that. But before I do, I did want to check in with you guys and see how you're feeling, how things have been, because I know I've been thinking about you a lot, and I've been thinking about how different things are right now, and how a lot of us are spending a lot more time inside than what we're used to. I know with everyone who goes to Little Owl, we're used to spending a lot of time outside, so this is probably a little bit weird for some of you, and I'm thinking that some people are probably having a little bit of a harder time figuring out what kind of things you can do inside. If you're inside almost all day long, what are some things that you can do? So when I was thinking about that, I actually started to think a lot about stories. And I know on this Monday we usually use this time to talk about stories, and I thought that's perfect because stories are actually a really great thing for you to do when you're just stuck at home, because there's something that you can do anywhere, and you can do with pretty much anything. So a lot of you guys know you can tell stories sometimes just by telling them, so you don't even need any materials. You can tell stories with paint or clay or Play-Doh. You could tell stories with loose parts or natural materials. You could even just tell stories by writing or drawing too. So something that's so cool about stories, it doesn't matter if you have to stay inside, if you can go outside, if you're able to go on a walk, or if you're just stuck in your room, you can tell a story anywhere you want and at any time too. So I thought it was pretty exciting that we get to talk more about them here today and share a little bit about it. And I wanted to kind of build on what we've already shared about stories. So if you remember the last couple weeks, we've been talking a lot about what to do to get ideas for stories. So where you can look for ideas. We talked about using books or people you know, people who you're inspired by, or even just gathering story ideas from your own life too. So we talked a little bit about last week. So you guys have a lot of places that you can get stories, but today I also wanted to talk a little bit about what to do with those ideas once you have them. So a lot of us can gather ideas for stories, but then sometimes you get stuck. You have this idea of maybe you want to tell a story about, like with me for instance, maybe you want to tell a story about the hike that you went on. But you're trying to think, where do I start? So a lot of times when I am thinking about stories, I think the way to help make your ideas for stories bigger is to think about the way that you describe the things that you might see in your story. So for me, the language I use is really important in the stories that I tell. I like to use a lot of descriptive language because I think it helps to paint a bigger picture of what things look like. So instead of just, if I were going to say maybe that someone was walking up to a house in my story, instead of just saying they walked up to a house, I might say they walked down a long road up to a big house with black walls and dark windows. And you can see, even just by adding that little bit, that it starts to help you see the story a little bit better. So that's something that I want to explore with you a little bit more today, of what that looks like to use some of that descriptive language in a story, and how that can really help you see either places or characters or things that are happening in the story a little bit better too. So we're going to try a little something today with this story that's different. I want you to, if you don't already, have your special drink, go grab that, find a cozy spot to, sit and relax. But also, today I would like you to grab a piece of paper and some sort of drawing material. So it can be a pencil, colored pencils, crayons, pastels. If you have paint or clay and you want to use those, feel free to use those. Any sort of material you have that you can kind of build an image with, so draw or create a picture with. Bring that over to your cozy spot, because what we're going to do today is, in this story, I am going to introduce you to a monster. And when I introduce you to this monster, I'm going to use some descriptive language to kind of explain to you what this monster looks like. And this is the part of the story that we usually get to play with a lot. So most of the time when I'm with a group of kids, they'll give me ideas for how to describe this monster. Today, I'm going to describe it to you. And what I'd like you to do is try to create a picture of that monster. So really listen to those words and see what does it make you picture in your mind. And then try to draw it, paint it, build it, whatever you want to. And kind of see how it turns out. It'll be interesting just to see how that language that I'm using maybe helps you see what this monster looks like too. Kind of create that picture in your mind. And that'll give you some ideas of how to use that tool in your own stories as well. So once you have all your materials, bring them to your cozy spot and we will get started. So, this story starts with a girl named Katie. And Katie loved more than anything in the whole world construction vehicles. She loved all kinds, and she would research them, she would watch them, and every day when she would go outside, she would watch and see if she could find any driving by. Well, one day, when Katie was outside, she saw the most beautiful excavator in the whole world. It was giant and long, and it was yellow and sparkly with stars all down the side. These green stars all down the side. And she looked at it and she thought, oh my goodness, I would love to have an excavator like that, if only I could. Just then, the owner driving by stopped and talked to Katie. And they talked for a long, long time, and Katie told him how much she loved the excavator and how she wished she could have one of her own. And then the owner told her that she could have this one. Katie couldn't even believe it. She thought, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. So she gave the owner some money. She hopped in the excavator and she drove it into her backyard. She was so excited she just sat in it for a while and thought, oh, I can't believe that this excavator is mine. And that night when she went inside, before she went to bed, she even peeked out the window and took one last look at it and just stared and thought, oh, wow, this is the most beautiful excavator I've ever seen. I'm so lucky. And then Katie went to bed. But while Katie was sleeping, what she didn't know is that right outside in her backyard, that excavator was changing. The excavator grew 10 long, squiggly arms. It grew 5 huge eyeballs. It grew long, sharp teeth and a big red mouth. It had a long purple tongue, and it grew 20 legs. And this excavator turned into a monster. And the monster, with its long arms and long legs, it slithered out of the backyard, up to Katie's door. It put its long arm, wrapped it around her doorknob, and it turned the door and opened it up. It slithered inside of her house, leaving a slimy trail behind it. And it slithered through her living room, through her kitchen, down the hallway, and into the bathroom, where it ate up all her toilet paper. And then it slithered back out to the backyard, shut the door, and turned back into an excavator. Poof. So that morning, when Katie woke up, she had no idea what had happened. She woke up from her bed, and she went out and she made herself some breakfast, and then she thought, oh, I really gotta go to the bathroom. So she ran into the bathroom, she opened the door, and she sat down. But when she looked to the side, you know what she saw? There was no toilet paper. And she thought, what? Oh my goodness. I didn't even know I was out of toilet paper. How crazy. I guess I gotta go to the store. So after she went to the bathroom, she got ready and she got in her excavator and she went to the store. She drove her excavator all the way to the store thinking, oh my goodness, I'm so excited that I get to drive this. This is the greatest thing ever. And she got to the store and she went shopping and she grabbed some toilet paper. She even grabbed a little extra food and other things. And she got in her excavator and drove back home. She stocked up her whole house and then it was time for bed. She gave her excavator one more look out the window and thought, wow, it's so beautiful. And then she went to sleep. But while Katie was sleeping, sure enough, that excavator turned right back in to a monster. It grew its 10 long arms, its 5 huge eyeballs that were yellow on the inside, its long white teeth, purple tongue, and red mouth, and its long polka-dotted legs. And it slithered out of the backyard, up to Katie's door. It put its hand on her doorknob and opened the door. It slithered through the living room, through the kitchen, down the hallway, and into her bathroom where it ate all her toilet paper again. And then it slithered back out to the backyard, shut the door, and poof, turned right back into an excavator. So sure enough, that morning when Katie woke up, she didn't even know what had happened. She went back into her kitchen like she always does. She made herself some breakfast and then, she needed to go to the bathroom again. She ran to the bathroom and sat down. But when she sat down and looked to the side, you know what she saw? There was no more toilet paper. This time, Katie looked at it and she said, wait a minute. I remember getting toilet paper just yesterday. And she thought, something weird is happening here. So she decided to go back to the store. But this time, she got something a little different. She got in her excavator, she drove on down to the store, and instead of just getting a little bit of toilet paper, she got some extra toilet paper. Because Katie had a plan. She drove her excavator back home, she made herself dinner, she took one last look at it before she went to bed, and of course thought how beautiful it was one more time. And then she went into her room where she laid a trap. She took one of her rolls of toilet paper, she put it underneath her bed, and she pulled the tail of it all the way down the hallway so that there was a trail of toilet paper leading down the hallway all the way underneath her bed. And that night, instead of going to sleep, Katie pretended she laid down and she pretended to sleep. And she watched, and she watched, and she watched, and she waited to see who was taking her toilet paper. And sure enough, out in the backyard, just like every other night, that excavator turned into a monster. It grew its 5 huge yellow eyes. It grew its 10 long arms. It grew its big white teeth and long purple tongue, its red mouth, and its long polka dot legs. And it slithered up to the door. It opened the door. It went through the living room, through the kitchen, and then, before it could get to the bathroom, it noticed the toilet paper trail. It started eating the toilet paper up in the hallway. And it got a little closer to Katie's room. And a little closer to Katie's room. And it followed the roll all the way into her room and underneath her bed. And when Katie heard it coming, she stayed pretending to sleep until it got close enough. And then she jumped up. And she jumped on top of the monster. And she grabbed it, and they wrestled and wrestled and wrestled and wrestled, and they rolled around the room, and they rolled through the hallway, and they rolled through the kitchen and through the living room, until, poof, the monster disappeared. Katie got up and she ran into her room to see if it was there. She looked under her bed. Nothing. She ran into the bathroom and she looked in there. Nothing. She ran into the kitchen and she opened every cupboard. Nothing. She even looked all over the living room. She lifted up the couch. But she still found nothing. So Katie ran out into the backyard. She was going to get in her excavator and chase this monster away. But when she went out to the backyard, you know what she saw? Her excavator had disappeared too. And that's the end. I hope you guys enjoyed that story. It's one of my favorite stories to tell, and it changes all the time. Sometimes the monster eats her food or other things. Almost every time the monster looks different. This time I just kind of thought of some ideas to describe it to you, but I'm sure you guys would have a lot of ideas too if I asked you. And sometimes the monster doesn't even start as an excavator. Sometimes it starts as a truck or a car. I used an excavator today because I know there's somebody watching who gave me that idea a long time ago named Jude, and I wanted to give his idea a chance to be here too. So thanks, Jude, for that excavator idea. I know a lot of people like excavators and probably enjoyed that too. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope it gave you some ideas of how you could use words like colors or how big something is or even the shape of it to kind of help make your story a little bit bigger. I know you guys were drawing with me when we were telling that story, so before we go, I actually wanted to give you one more thing, if you'd like to try it, that you could do with that picture. So something about this story is you'll notice that when we said the end, it seemed like the story wasn't really over yet. This excavator disappeared and we don't really know what happened to it. So what I would like you guys to think about is, if you want to, you can kind of use the picture that you created for this. I'd like you to think about where you think the excavator might have went. Maybe there's a place you imagine. I know one time when I asked Jude this, he said that he thought maybe the excavator went to a place with a bunch of construction vehicles. It appeared in a new place somewhere else. I know I've asked some other people who said maybe it went to someone else's house, or maybe it disappeared forever. So maybe you have your own ideas too. And if you would like, you can actually continue this story. So now you can tell another story with your picture of this monster, or maybe even some of your own ideas about what happens next. Where does the excavator go? Who does it see? And what does it do? So I hope that you guys enjoy that. Maybe you'll get some good story ideas out of it and enjoy doing some more pictures and storytelling. And until I see you next time, have a good day.